At this point in the course, you've built real Treasury automations that save time, reduce manual work, and improve visibility. But the truth is, none of that matters if the automation isn't trusted. In Treasury, speed without controls isn't progress. It's just faster risk. Automation amplifies whatever you give it. So if the logic is good, it scales decisions. And if the logic is wrong, it scales mistakes. This module is about making sure what you've built is reliable, explainable, and safe to run in real environments. You see, Treasury automation has its own risk profile, because bank files might not arrive. File formats might change. Mapping tables might be wrong, and policy rules might be misunderstood. The most dangerous failures are silent ones, when something doesn't run and no one notices, or when something runs incorrectly but still produces an output. Good controls are designed to surface these problems early before they become business issues. Testing is not a one-time activity. It's part of operating the automation, and Treasury testing should be simple but intentional, covering normal cases, edge cases, and exception cases. Normal cases confirm the happy path. Edge cases test unusual but valid scenarios. And exception cases test what happens when things go wrong. And this last step especially is how you build confidence in the automation. In Treasury, your test cases should mirror real life, such as what happens if a bank file is missing. What happens if an account has a zero balance? What happens if there's a large unusual transaction? And what happens when a new account is added? You don't need hundreds of tests. You need the right tests. The most important control in Treasury automation is still human review, because automation should prepare information, and humans should approve actions, especially for cash movements and compliant decisions. Human in the loop isn't a weakness. It's a control. Every automation should leave a trail, including when it ran, what files it used, what outputs it produced, and this doesn't have to be complex, because folder structures, timestamps, and saved outputs, often provide enough traceability for Treasury and audit conversations. You also need lightweight change management so you can answer who changed a rule, when it was changed, and why it was changed. This can be as simple as a shared log or notes in a control spreadsheet. Remember here, the goal is not bureaucracy, it's accountability and traceability. Treasury environments change, with new accounts being added, bank formats changing, policies being updated, and thresholds being adjusted. An automation that worked perfectly fine 6 months ago can quietly become wrong, which is called drift. Now, drift is normal, but ignoring it is risky. And that's why monitoring doesn't need to be complex, because periodic spot checks, reviewing exception logs, and sanity checking outputs are usually enough to keep the automation aligned with reality. Now, an automation is ready to go live when it's been tested, reviewed, understood by the people who rely on it, and supported by basic documentation. If any of those are missing, any at all, it's not ready. Treasury automations affect other people, including liquidity, alerts, compliance. So when you change automation behavior, you need to communicate what changed, what people should expect, and who to contact if something looks wrong. Because that communication is part of governance. Leadership doesn't care about tools. They care about risk, reliability, transparency, and accountability. So when you present automation, frame it in those terms. Not as features or AI, but as controls and outcomes. The most powerful story you can tell is simple, showing how the process worked before, how it works now, how much time was saved, how much risk was reduced, and what controls make it safe. All of that together is how automation earns trust. A one-pager is the document leadership actually wants. Not a 30-page deck, one page. It answers, what does this agent do? What does it not do? Who owns it? And how often is it reviewed? Agents evolve, and that's fine. What's not fine is silent changes. So we track changes to prompts, changes to rules, changes to data sources. Even a simple spreadsheet works. And when leadership asks who owns this, You want a name, not a shrug. Ownership builds confidence and keeps agents alive. This is the final step before your agent goes live. You complete a control sheet for your capstone agent that shows what it does, what it touches, what risks exist, how those risks are mitigated. This is exactly the artifact you show a controller or CFO.